Hello, and welcome to the Empowerography Podcast. This is a platform created for women's voices to be heard and a place to share their stories, journeys, and successes with the world for the purpose of helping other women who might be on similar journeys. We are empowering women one episode at a time. I'm your host, Brad Walsh, so kick back, grab one of your favorite beverages, and enjoy the stories. The world needs to hear your message and your story, so don't deny the world of that gift within you that the universe has given you. Someone out there needs to hear your story because it will support them in feeling hope, inspired, and even transformed. Do you want to discover how I help get my clients out of their own way, show up, and confidently share their message? I would love to extend an invitation to you to join me in my free masterclass, Start Your Own Podcast from Idea to Implementation, on Wednesday, April 5th at 1 p.m. Eastern. You can find the registry link in the show notes. Hope to see you there. Hello there, Brad Walsh here, your host of the Empowerography Podcast. Today, my guest is Suzanne Gerber. She is a classically trained modern astrological counselor and teacher. She's also trained in shamanism, Reiki, Buddhism, quantum physics, plant medicine, soul-centered psychotherapy, and life coaching. Suzanne, I am so honored and excited to have you here. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, and it is really an honor to be here with you, Brad.
Thank you so much for taking and making the time. I am so excited to jump in. So with that being said, let us do just that. How on earth do you find the time for all that you do and all these hats that you wear? How do you prioritize, and how important is prioritization and organization to you?
Okay, let's do the last one first. It's the most important thing of all, because you make it sound like I really do 7 different jobs simultaneously. But I think if you were to break down what you do, if a lot of the people listening were to break down what are the components of what they do, they would realize I actually do a lot of things. I mean, just being a parent, right?
Yeah.
There's like 15 different job descriptions. Yeah. But what I feel, bottom line, is what astrology is, especially from a counseling perspective, it's really good therapy and coaching and spiritual advice and guidance with a cheat sheet. And the cheat sheet is your chart with a cheat sheet. Because there are wonderful therapists and healers out there, 100%. But astrology is a secret weapon, because if somebody knows their birth time, what we can find if we go in with sensitivity and curiosity and humility, not like I know what this is, like I wonder what this is, we can find anything. So a lot of people are great astrological diagnosticians. Like there's a lot of doctors who can tell you what's wrong, but they don't know how to help you. They know they can do surgery, they can give you medicine, but they don't know how to help you. An astrologer who doesn't know how to support and help and facilitate healing is not doing their job. And so a long time ago, I realized, okay, I can read charts. So what? The person walks away from the session just as confused or sad. Maybe they got excited for a day. Okay, I can do this. They need support. They need a plan. And that's where all those other things came in. One by one, I just said, I got to learn how to work with energy medicine. I have to understand the shamanic, because how do we make sense? Because astrology points to a very different kind of reality. So That's the short, and it wasn't that short, but that's the short answer.
I love it though, because we can go through the steps, like we have a skill set and we can go through the steps to do that job, but there's so much more involved in it. You have to be a human. There's other pieces too that make you good at what you do. Like you said, you could read an astrological chart all day. So fucking what? There's other pieces to it that you bring into it uniquely because you're you, and you put in the time and to care about the craft, to care about what you're doing, to care about your clients. That's an added piece.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think that's what draws certain people to different astrologers. And it's not like someone's the best.
No.
It's just, who do you have an affinity with? Who gets you? A lot of times when people find me, and people find me very randomly, and they just say, I felt you, or when I heard you say this, whether about my life or about my chart, because sometimes when people speak astrology, it's shorthand. We can kind of convey something almost telegraphically. And they'll say, I knew you would get it. I knew you would understand, because this feels so isolating, alienating, or just because that's a big part of why people come for astrology. They don't feel like they fit in.
It's about that energetic connection.
Absolutely.
Because we're not going to connect with everybody. Everybody is not for you, and you're not for everybody. Plain and simple.
Amen.
But you need to know your job. You need to know how, other than, yes, I can read an astrological chart, but there's got to be those added pieces that differentiate you and allow you to give back to your clients in a better way than just reading a chart.
Right, exactly.
Anyone can learn to read a chart. Am I right?
Yeah.
And you can learn to read it.
And I mean, there's so many levels of advanced astrology. One is technical. How do you synthesize all these things, many of which are contradictory? And then the second part is, and then what? How do you talk to somebody? How do you be present for somebody? Just learning how to listen is a skill so many practicing astrologers have not really mastered.
Let's be honest, there's a lot of humans that haven't mastered that listening piece. It's
Right.
not just astrologers. I mean, these skills that you just mentioned, these are basic human skills that
Yes.
we all should possess, but we don't.
Yeah, I mean, let's just say it would be nice.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure about should.
Yeah. Now, I'm curious, with you wearing so many hats, Suzanne, what does your morning routine look like?
Some mornings it looks like this. It's interesting. I mean, being honest, Brad, my mornings are for me. I believe in health and taking care of myself and self-care and practicing what I preach. You can't really talk to people about, you need to take care of you and then not do it yourself. So mornings, I exercise. I go to the gym. I go to Pilates. I spend time on my yoga mat. I read astrological and spiritual things or other things because life isn't only astrology and spirituality. So I take care of me. And then in the afternoon, I work with clients on calls online. And I also run an annual virtual summit. And I'm in that period now. So there's a lot of interviewing and a lot of moving parts. But the mornings are dedicated to getting me grounded, clear, and my basic whatever needs and desires taken care of.
Love that. We have to pour into ourselves first before anything else.
Yeah.
What drives, motivates, and inspires you to keep going and excelling at all that you do?
I think it's the afternoons. It's the client work. I mean, honestly, it feels like such a cliche, or a little disingenuous. But there are epiphanies. There are moments every single day with clients, and I watch their faces. And I see, and I always invite people, stay in touch. Let me know what's going on. Even if we don't work together in the future, drop me a line. I'm getting messages from every platform, people just keeping me posted. Their lives are improving. I could say changing, but change isn't necessarily going in the right direction, is it?
Yeah, very true.
Their lives are improving. They're feeling more empowered. They feel like they have more options. They have opportunities. They now see opportunities where they used to just see blocks. It's about expanding their awareness.
And that's a beautiful gift to be able to give to someone, to help them see that, to help them see their potential, to point them in the right direction or point them in a different direction so that they take a different path that opens things up for them.
Yeah. And one of the things that really drives me is to get people to reconnect to their purpose. Why are they doing this? We just get into autopilot sometimes, don't we? We're just doing things. We're following old patterns and directives and goals. And how often do we really stop and go, wait, hang on, because I'm not even sure why I'm doing this anymore.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So when we kind of hit pause and just go deep inside, and this is where astrology is so uniquely special, the kind of light that it shines, it's a very special light. And of course, I owe so much to my own teachers who not just transmitted the information, but modeled truly compassionate patience, which I don't think I was born with, to be honest. But
it's a learned skill, I think.
it's
especially in entrepreneurship.
Absolutely, right? To know when to push and to know when to wait. But I definitely owe so much to the most amazing teachers.
Now, I would love to know, Suzanne, what were you doing before making the leap into entrepreneurship? And what was the catalyst for that shift for you?
The entrepreneurship was kind of always there because my other career, even though I've been into the planet since I was grade school, honestly, and so many astrologers or just astrology people who are very passionate will tell you they've always had a connection. Sometimes it's to the moon, sometimes it's to the night sky. But I think it's a common thing. We come from there, right? We're stardust. It makes sense that we have a connection to it. So I've always been drawn to astrology, but I'm also a Taurus rising with the moon in Virgo. So I'm very pragmatic. And I was essentially a single mother. So I needed a, quote, real job. So, and my other passion has always been communication and language. And so I was a writer and an editor and was in New York City in the magazine and website publishing world. And I would get a job, and I liked this, the Taurus liked the security. Paycheck, benefits, 401k, all those things. Yeah. That's like talking dirty to a Taurus. But there's this other part of me, this very strong Uranian thing, the Aquarius that rules my career. And this is something that you can relate to as an Aquarian. Yeah. I needed more freedom. I'm happy to work day and night. It's not that I'm a slacker. It's I need to do it my way. And so I would go back and forth between working for, let's say, the man. Yeah. And working for myself. And I loved working for myself. I'm a good boss, but I'm a tough boss. But there was always...
I treat myself fairly.
Right? The old Monty Python, cruel but fair. But that need for security, and I know so many people watching or listening can relate to this. They know what's in their heart. They do. People know this. Yeah. But I have kids, or I have a mortgage, or I had parents who drove it into me that I needed this magic number by this certain random age, right? We have this programming in us. It was always, I'd go back and forth. And eventually I was living in New York City. It was months before 9/11. No one knew what was coming down the pike. And I just said, no mas, I cannot do this. And I just took that leap of faith. It was still mostly writing and editing. But I've been doing astrology since the 1980s. People listening, watching, remember, oh yeah, 1980s. Wait, we didn't have the internet then. How did you do astrology? Yeah, that was part of why I needed the real job. But I'd always done astrology. You do it for the people you meet. You don't really get to meet people in wherever, India and Belgium. And I mean, when I do these summits, Brett, I have people from 115 different countries.
Wow.
It is the most exciting, thrilling thing I could imagine. So the internet really started to change the way I did my astrology business. And I also, this is personal, but I just moved from New York City to Florida to look after my mother, who was needing a lot more attention, the kind you can't really do effectively long distance. And so when I moved to Florida, that was just a game changer. And I took it as one. And this is an important distinction. We can move and nothing changes. The great quote, is it John Kabat-Zinn? Wherever you go, there you are. So you can move, you can completely uproot your life and nothing changes. But I said, I'm going to let this be a big change. I'm going to welcome it. I'm going to embrace it. I'm going to not say no and not be resisting. And I pushed myself. And I know a lot of women can relate to this. We want to push ourselves, but we don't want to be pushy. And it's a very interesting, guys don't, and I don't mean to generalize all men, but it comes more easily to men. It's, it's hormone, it's testosterone, it's culture, it's training, it's reinforcement. Women don't, it's hard to put ourselves out there. But as it started to grow, as I started to get the feedback from more and more people, and I mean a lot of people, because I would work at shows, and I could do 40 readings in a weekend. They're mini readings. They're quick, but they're impactful. And I started to get more and more feedback. I'm like, no, this, like what you were saying to me, you don't have a choice in what you do. And it became very evident that I didn't have a choice, but we will do for other people. How we'll do anything for our kids or our partner or a parent. We'll do anything for them, but we won't do it for us. This wasn't for me. This was for the work.
It's bigger than you.
It's so much bigger. And that's when I made the shift. I still write for myself and I still have some clients and I work with some other astrologers and help them with their editing. It's always a part of my life. But now the work is completely the astrological healing support, coaching work.
What a journey. I want to dive in and get into the astrology stuff now. I'm so fascinated by all of it. And what initially drew you to the study of astrology? And how has your journey evolved from when you first began to where you are now?
It began when I would look up at the night sky, when I was allowed to stay up past dark. I think that's why I wanted to stay up past dark. I wanted to look at those planets. I don't think I have to explain why that's so amazing. Anybody who's ever been anywhere on a totally clear night, and if you've ever been anywhere in high altitude where it feels like you could literally just reach up and touch that blanket of stars. It is the most exciting thing. Like so many people, I got into Linda Goodman and the things that were available back then. And I played with people's sun signs when I was in high school. Oh, you're an Aquarius. Oh, I bet you really love obscure topics, whatever we knew about it back then. And then I went to college, and I actually had a very profound experience, which I'll try to encapsulate. I was in over my head. I was intellectually ready, but not emotionally. Mm-hmm. I had to take a leave of absence, and I was finding myself, as people did back then. And I got news over the summer that one of my best friends, age 19, had died. It just shattered me. It really did. And I thought I had some answers. And I realized at that moment I didn't understand anything. And I just said, I really can't go forward until I can make sense of this. I didn't say it like this, but this is what the thinking was. I need a bigger cosmology. I need a bigger understanding of the nature of reality to be okay with this just senseless, horrible thing. And so I was already planning to go back to college. And I went back, and I was the opposite of how I was. Instead of being kind of slacker, party, hang out, I was like, I'm going to get everything I can out of this. And I had signed up for a course. It was called The Undiscovered Self, which some people will recognize as the title of Carl Jung, the great Swiss psychoanalyst, of his autobiography. And it was like kind of a famous class on that campus. You could only take it as an upperclassman. And the very first day, the professor gave us a questionnaire. It only had 3 possible answers and 20 questions. And the possible answers were yes, no, I don't know. Do you believe in reincarnation? Do you believe in the soul? Do you believe in karma? Do you believe in ESP? Just you get the nature of the questions. Yeah. And I just went through this thing, and I just ticked, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. Total agnostic. We spent that semester reading profound books, Jane Roberts Seth books, and I can't even remember all of them now. Carlos Castaneda, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, Carl Jung, books like this, Brian Weiss, about reincarnation, children's memories, and it blew my mind because it was so true. We know when things are true. We feel them. And the very last day of class, the professor gave us the exact same questionnaire. Do you believe in reincarnation? Hell yes. Do you believe in the soul? Oh my God, yes.
Everything was a hell yes.
And there's been no turning back.
That class changed your life.
It pulled something up and locked it in.
Incredible. Wow. You've really piqued my interest, and I have to ask, can you elaborate on the difference between classical astrology and the more modern interpretations of what we see today?
Sure. Do you have 6 hours?
No.
I can do it fast. As an editor, I used to have to take 5,000 word stories, and I joke and I say, and reduce it to a caption.
That's a big task.
Yeah, you get it. So people have been practicing astrology for thousands of years, and there's a whole long history that you can follow from the Babylonians and into Egypt, into Greece. Now, when we talk about classical astrology, we're usually talking about the classical Greek, the Hellenistic set of rules. They still were evolving them from sources that were available to them, but they only worked with the planets that were visible to the eye. No telescopes. So our solar system ended at Saturn. There were very strict rules because in life back then, there were very strict rules. Yeah. Things were very masculine. Things were very judgmental. Things were good and things were bad and right and wrong because everything always was influenced and shaped by the culture and the thinking of the times. And a lot of this classical astrology works like a charm to this day. It's brilliant. And the people who work with it, and there are people who specialize in it, will knock your socks off with what they can teach you. Personally, I don't feel that much resonance with some of the ancient Greeks. I mean, philosophically, sure. Lifestyle-wise, first of all, I got a big problem. I'm a woman. Women were not honored in a lot of these societies that develop beautiful systems, but women were very secondary. Look at our solar system. What's feminine? The moon, Venus, half of Venus, right? Because Venus is also the warrior. We need new ways of understanding these symbols. The symbols are timeless, but we need new interpretations because we're different. Yeah. We've evolved as a humanity, as people. We're still evolving. Astrology is evolving. There's all these levels. Individuals are evolving. Sometimes families and communities evolve. Countries, please, God, let our countries evolve. And then just humanity in general and understanding that everybody deserves the same rights and freedoms, not some of us. And so modern astrology takes all that into account. And in the practice of it, we work with the more what we call the modern planets that have been discovered by the telescope, starting with Uranus and beyond. And then there are all these other bodies some people will be familiar with, asteroids like Chiron, planets beyond Pluto in that vast region called the Kuiper Belt. There are objects there that we're just starting to discover and learn about. These things speak to expanded states of consciousness. Traditional, classical, Hellenistic astrology didn't understand that. They didn't anticipate that. And frankly, they just didn't have a place for it in their world. But we do today. So I like to bring the rigor of the classical training, but I bring a much more modern, sensitive, I think just this is a judgment, but a more appropriate. I shift where somebody needs something, that's where we'll go. I can't say, that's bad. That's a malefic rulership in a hard... No, there's no bad. It also sort of implies with debilities and malefics that there are evil forces and bad things. And I don't subscribe to them.
I love that. Thank you for clarifying that. In what ways can astrology serve as a tool for individuals to deepen their self-understanding and navigate life's challenges more effectively?
Yeah, that's exactly the crux of it, isn't it? It's why we need to go sometimes to a therapist or maybe a chiropractor or something, right? We can't see everything. We can't diagnose everything about ourselves. We just, by definition, we have our own beliefs and our own projections and the worldview that we've created that came from being children and living in either fabulous imaginary worlds or scary worlds where we had to learn how to protect ourselves, which is very serious business. And therefore, we have blind spots. We just do. There's research, in composite research that says our conscious minds, what we think we want, is responsible for maximum 15% of the reality that we create. Meaning, you don't have to be a math major, 85% of what we create is coming from the unconscious mind. And back to Carl Jung, he has a great quote, a lot of people might have heard. Until we make the unconscious conscious, we will project it outward and call it fate. We don't take responsibility for it. It's not blame. It's not blame. There's no blame. It's just responsibility. So astrology to me, back to the very first thing I said, how to gain self-understanding and awareness and mastery with a cheat sheet.
I love that. Amazing.
So it's just as hard sometimes to look at our own chart and go, so does this make me really screwed up or is this kind of cool? That's where you need an objective person to just... And not to tell you, we do not give our power away to the astrologer or to the planets. We show up ready to take responsibility and we say, help me understand this a little bit better. Show me how I can work with this. Am I just doomed? And the answer is always no, of course not. It's just going to be hard for a little while.
Yeah, there'll be rough patches that you'll go through. Love it. Thank you. I'm sure there are a lot of skeptics out there when it comes to astrology. So I'm curious as to how you respond to skeptics, if at all, who dismiss astrology as mere pseudoscience. And how do you encourage open-mindedness, exploration of its principles?
Fortunately, the internet and COVID took care of that for a lot of us. It's a different world out there, Brad. 20, 30 years ago. Yeah, 20, 30 years ago, I was a lot younger and I was a lot more feisty. And my sister's father-in-law, and I was very close to, her husband and his parents, great people. Dad was an engineer, brilliant engineer. And he would say things to me, and this is a literal thing that he said to me, and things along the lines of this. Suzanne, you're so intelligent. How can you believe in astrology? And I used to encounter this all the time because people didn't understand what astrology is. Astrology hasn't changed at all. Perception of astrology has changed. It used to be the fortunes in the back of the magazine.
The newspaper, your horoscope for your daily horoscope.
And true confessions. I've written a lot of those in my day because nobody gets hurt. Somebody's got to do it. And I had a kid to put through college, right? So
there you go.
But the thing is, that's not astrology. Astrology doesn't take your power away. It doesn't tell you what's going to happen. Any astrologer who does, leave. Run away. Seriously. They don't know what's going to happen to you because you have free will. Everything there has this just host, this spectrum of possible expressions. And you get to choose it depending on your awareness and your mastery and your courage. So I don't try to talk people into it or out of it. There's no need for it anymore. And as the great evolutionary astrologer Stephen Forrest says, there's absolutely no overlap between people who say they don't believe in astrology and people who know anything about it. Because to really know anything about it, to have some skillful person talk to you about your chart for just 15 minutes, you're going to, I'm not going to say be a believer. You're suddenly going to go, tell me more about that moon. And what was that? What was that thing you said? Because it's real. It's a natural law. It's just, I don't know a lot of people that go, gravity? Yeah, I don't know about that. It's similar. They just haven't experienced it.
There you go. That's it. What are some misconceptions about astrology that you encounter, and how do you address them in your teachings?
That comes up all the time, even among people who embrace astrology, because it's coming from the old school, fear-based, wrathful God kind of mindset. Some of the misconceptions are that some of the planets whose energies are very intense and bring transformation are bad and scary. And oh, I'm having a Saturn return or a Saturn opposition or Pluto is doing this. I'm going to go into the bunker for 2 years. These are the things you came in to work on. We're not just here to lie in the sun and eat chocolate and pet the cat. Nice as that could be for a weekend. We're not just here for that. We're not just here to work either. We're not just here to learn and suffer. It's the whole package. But the learning and the growth is a part of it. And without a challenge, we don't grow. Nobody grows.
Yeah.
You can't even build muscle without tearing them. That's an analogy that's true for every single thing in our lives. And the planets, when they do these things, they're correlated with these times in our lives where we're going to be faced with the challenge. And we have an array of options on how to deal with it. Run away, ignore it, stick to our old pattern behavior and keep having the same result. Einstein's definition of insanity, right? Or we can say, what the hell? I'm not happy.
People are going to change something.
Yeah. And I mean, it could be anything from picking up on the warning signs of dating the wrong person over and over again to facing an addiction or a very self-destructive behavior pattern. All of them are very serious, not trying to weight them, but it's really that the planets have the power, they cause things that they're predetermined, that we don't have control, and that bad things can happen.
But we do have control. I mean, you're the only one that has control over you. You have full control over your emotions, how you react to things. That's up to you.
Exactly. And I think people's misconceptions and fears about astrology just derive from people's misconceptions and fears about life.
Beautiful. Thank you for pointing that out. What role do you believe astrology plays in shaping or reflecting the collective consciousness of humanity?
There are people for whom astrology isn't even on their radar screen, so it doesn't. But there's a world of people who really do take this very seriously. And people use it very differently. Now, the people that are using it in a doom and gloomy kind of way, I don't think that's helpful. I know that's not helpful. But people like that. People like drama. It's not that we like drama. We're wired for it, right?
Yeah.
We need that. We need those little hits in our brain. Equanimity, kind of boring. Like that experiment that they did, I forget when, not in the last 20 years, they put people alone in a room. It was voluntary. It wasn't torture. They put them alone in a room for 15 minutes with nothing. And they said, you can either sit there or we'll give you a mild electrical shock. Overwhelmingly, people took the shock because people can't just be. They can pick up their phone and they can check They can't just sit because modern technology has changed our brains. And this isn't conspiracy theory. It really has. Yep. We've become very acclimated, very addicted.
Yes.
To the dings and the pings and the likes and that's why my phone, no alerts, no noises. I don't need more things playing with my addiction centers in my brain. But I think that responsible astrologers, because so many people have faith, people have very strong spiritual longings. I really do believe most of us do. I do. And many people still affiliate with the church or the temple or the mosque or the whatever of their upbringing. But I think when we look at these really good polls that are taken of people, at least in Western societies, people will more often say they're spiritual but not religious.
Yes.
But we lose something with that. We lose something. I know all the downsides of organized religion, believe me, firsthand. We all do. And there's no disrespect here, but we see it very clearly. But what it does have to offer, let's look at the gift of it, is community, routines, rituals, cycles, patterns, things we can come to expect. Spirituality, just free form, doesn't inherently provide that. You're kind of on your own. Astrology can offer that. Astrology offers community. Astrology by nature shows patterns, cycles, planets returning, planets making different angles repeatedly, predictably. It gives us these times that we can use as rites of passage. When we leave traditional religion, let's say, in theology, we lose these rites of passage. When are we devoted to a spiritual path? Communion or something like that. Bar mitzvahs. When do we become an adult? How do we honor sacred partnership? We don't have that. So astrology can actually provide that, or on an individual basis, or in groups and in the collective. I think that's one of the highest potential gifts of astrology.
I've never thought about that. That's an interesting take. I've really never thought about that. The Church of Astrology.
I prefer temple, but...
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. Being a classically trained astrologer, how do you envision the role of astrology evolving in our modern society, particularly in the context of increasing interest in spiritual and metaphysical practices?
I think it's just happening. I think it's just unfolding. I think it's part of the evolution. Astrology, when done with skillful means, done with wisdom, and most importantly, when done with humility and compassion, is just a very inviting, alluring thing. It can help people become more self-aware. We're like the good astrologers and counselors I think of as like the invisible supports. They're the crew of the movie or the play. They're not the main actors, but they're the ones supporting them. They do the lighting. They make the actors look good. They make sure they
the
hit their marks. Yeah. So I think that's part of our role.
Love it. How has your journey with astrology influenced your personal evolution and understanding of the interconnectedness of all things?
It just deepens it and blows my mind on a daily basis. And
it's always good to have your mind blown.
It's essential. It's essential.
I agree with you.
It's just blowing out your dryer vent.
Yeah. Let's clear some shit out. Let's bring some new stuff in. Let's allow space for new stuff to come in.
The Buddhists, right, with the beginner's mind and the master pouring the tea for the person who showed up at the master's doorstep with all the answers. The master pours the tea. It keeps overflowing the cup. Student says, "What are you doing?" He said, "Well, you can't fill a full cup."
Very true. What advice would you give someone that wants to get into and start studying astrology and pursuing a path of becoming an astrologer?
That's not a hypothetical question. This comes up in my practice all the time. I think it's many different levels to answering that. There's the technical part. Make sure you're getting good information. Challenge yourself. Take it seriously. Just like you want to learn a foreign language, you're not going to pick it up overnight. You're not just going to vibe it. You're going to study it. So take it seriously. And just like good doctors, they don't just learn medicine. They learn humanity. So you need to understand what makes people tick. Read philosophy. Read some of the great spiritual traditions. And that includes the organized religions. They've got beautiful mystical traditions built right into them. Learn as much as you can. Ask questions and stay in curiosity.
I love that you mentioned learn about humanity, because I really think there needs to be a course given on how to be a good human, on teaching humanity. I do. There's so many people out there that need help on how to be a good human.
Brad, I'm looking at your chart, and without going into it, you should teach that course.
It's funny you say that, because I was actually just speaking with someone yesterday about putting something together like that.
I'm not even kidding.
You can't make this shit up.
No.
I really do believe that there are a lot of people out there that need it. I really do. I honestly, with all of my heart, believe there's a lot of people that need that.
And you could create a whole curriculum. We're not going to go into this too deeply, but with different experts in different fields who kind of are the mentors on those tracks. Because being a good human isn't just helping people cross the street or something cliche.
No. There's
like that.
many aspects to it, but I think that we are in need of that. I really do believe it.
Yeah. And with AI coming in where we don't even know what human is anymore.
Yeah. And it's funny, I was talking to someone about AI a couple of weeks ago, and she has incorporated AI into the work she does. And she made a point, and it's true. You got to get on board with it because it's coming whether you want it or not.
It's here whether you want it or not.
Exactly. But you have to draw the line where, okay, AI is AI. You use it for the certain things, but we don't take it to the extreme where it's taking over humanity and replacing humans, because that's not good for anybody.
No.
Not good for anybody.
No,
putting humans out of work, all of the, like I've seen clips of restaurants that are completely AI run, robots running everything. It's what the fuck are we doing?
And how quickly has this come over us?
Yeah, it's insane. Like I said, you've got to accept it. You have to break. Sorry, I shouldn't say you have to. You don't have to do anything. But if you don't want to get left behind, you've got to somewhat embrace the technology a little bit, I think, to a certain degree.
At the very least, you need to be aware of the fact that a lot of what you're seeing is not real. We have to bring a new level of healthy skepticism.
Well, let's peel back the curtain. That's a whole other podcast episode.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I want to say about the teaching people to be good humans is in some of my studies, which led me into certain Eastern traditions in Tantric Hinduism or Buddhism, it used to be very esoteric, and it wasn't just for regular people. You had to devote your whole life to it. But then there were a lot of people who wanted to be married and wanted to have families called householders, and they wanted to learn some of these esoteric ways of being in the world and reaching these higher states of consciousness, let's say. So part of what developed was, instead of devoting your whole life or months at a time, you would do micro practices. And you would do micro practices throughout your day, little things to keep you aligned, to keep you from drifting too far into the secular, into going unconscious, to keep you conscious. And I know it's really easy to get like kind of OCD about this stuff, but there are ways to do it in a balancing way, just to take little breaks, to remind yourself or to ask yourself, why did I do that? Is that kind? How could I help? Just little cues, little prompts that we could give ourselves to help keep us aligned. And I think those are as important as the big picture. Join this movement or tithe this kind of money. I
agree with you 100%. I love that. I am going to continue on. I'm going to really put some thought into this because I really do think it's necessary. So thank you for reaffirming that.
I'm available for some astro coaching along those lines. It would be my privilege.
Awesome. I love that. I will be taking you up on that, I'm sure. Now, as mentioned off the top, Suzanne, you're also trained in multiple other modalities. And I'm curious how you integrate astrology with all the other modalities that you're trained in to provide a holistic approach to personal growth and expansion.
A lot of my training just simply informs the way I approach any session. I bring in the principles, I bring in the training, I bring in just the modeling that teachers have had for me about how to hold space for people, how to listen, when to be, I don't want to say tough, because as a Libra, I'm not the toughest person, but when to bring some boundaries to something, just learning the discretion. Now, other times, I actually will employ some of the things I've done. COVID was a game changer. I used to see more people here, but energy works remotely. It's no different. Energy is energy. If the intention is pure and strong, it doesn't matter if somebody is in my living room or in Japan. It's the same thing, the same connection. So sometimes when I'm working with people, and I'm doing it less and less because astrology has just kind of been a bigger vortex and pulling. But sometimes with people, and they see on my website, or I'll mention to them that where they're stuck is not going to shift with cognitive awareness. Right? I'm a big believer in cognitive behavioral therapy. It helps a lot of things, but it doesn't help everything. There are times that it's past life. It's some kind of energetic block. It's somatic, especially when there's trauma. And let's face it, everybody has something. Trauma. We all have something. And we need to get in there. And the thing is, I'm a really big believer in I don't heal someone. That's hubris. I can facilitate somebody else's healing, but I'm not a healer. I'm not a shaman. I'm a practitioner. And so what I love to do is work with people. I really like to start with the cheat sheet, as you can imagine, because otherwise you're fumbling in the dark. This is when surgeons do camera-assisted surgery. You need that. So we'll do an astrological session, and it'll become evident when somebody wants it. And then I will bring in different things. And Reiki, when I was learning shamanic techniques, and I walked the medicine wheel twice, 2 different disciplines, about 10, 13 years apart, beautiful practices and magic. And I was taught, don't use Reiki, don't use other things that you've learned while you're training. Once you master this, if you're going to learn classical dance, learn dance. Then bring in modern and jazz and add it in yourself. But learn the classics. I'm kind of old school about that kind of thing. So I can't not run Reiki when I'm doing other healing work. If we have a means of bringing universal healing to somebody, why would we shut that channel down? It doesn't make sense. Yeah. So I just allow it all to come through. And I think a lot of people, Brad, and you've probably talked to a lot of folks like this, when they're trained in a lot of modalities, they don't even know what they're bringing to bear in a situation, because it's just this beautiful kind of blend of seasonings and flavors, like a really good curry. You know?
Yes.
You don't exactly know what you're tasting, right?
Yeah.
But it just comes together in such a balanced way. And it's really 90% of it is intention.
And not everybody needs the same thing. Everybody needs something different. So you're going to bring those different flavors together for the different dishes or different people you're working with. Plain and simple.
Yeah, thank you for that. I was thinking it's a little bit of a stretch here, this analogy, but it's a little bit like rebuilding a house. You're remodeling, you're renovating. There's a lot of different things, right? There's walls and there's paint, and there's plumbing, there's electric. Oh, so many things. You need different tools.
Yes.
For the different jobs.
Yep.
And you really wouldn't want to bring a contractor in who says, oh, I only have a hammer.
We're not going to get much done today.
Maybe today.
You can't paint walls with a hammer.
Right. You can get a lot done today, but you won't get much done tomorrow.
Yeah. Now, there's the common thread that runs through all the modalities, your trainings and the things, which is, of course, spirituality. That's the common thread, I think, through all of it. What set you on your spirituality path? Was there a particular thing or occurrence or moment that started that trajectory for you? And if so, could you share that with us?
It's another, have we got 6 hours? Brad, I think we all come in with a connection to spirit or source or God or the goddess or the divine. These are just syllables. We're talking about the same thing. We really are. And for some of us, it's just stronger because of circumstances that we almost have no responsibility for. So it's not like somebody who has it is better. It's just we're different, and we all are going to ripen and bloom on different timelines. For me, it was always there. It was just always there. I always had really weird things happen. Clocks and watches would stop at the same time, that kind of thing. And then when I was 10 years old, I'll try to make this quick. 10 years old, I loved the idea of God and spirit and nature and animals. I was always tuned into that. My grandmother, my mother's mother, had just died, and my mother was home. My mother just had a lot of guilt and conflicted emotions about it. Her back went out. She was home, lying in her bed in her bedroom, the lights out. One of my girlfriends came over to play after school. She goes, "Good, I have a Ouija board." Which I'd never seen before.
I played with the Ouija board.
Yeah, and that's not play.
No, it's not.
It's a portal.
Not.
It's a portal.
When we were playing with it, we were young, probably around the same age that you're talking. I think we were about 10 or 11 in around there. We started playing with the Ouija board. So anyway, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's exactly what we're talking about. I'm a little older than you, so these are different eras, but same concept. It's a time where we get curious. And I'd never done one, and my friend was showing me how to use the hands on the little pointer, and we were pretty basic. Is there a spirit in the house? Boom, right to yes.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, I mean, I'm getting goosebumps now recalling it. And then we said, what's your name? And it really was moving without us. And it spelled out GIDEL. And then it said goodbye. And I think somewhere in there, it spelled out, I love you. And I'm 10 years old. I thought that was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. And so I went skipping into my mother's bedroom. I said, Mom, guess what? And she was just in her own place that I couldn't even understand. And she goes, what is it, honey? And I said, we have a spirit in the house. And she said, that's nice. I said, don't you want to know its name? And she said, sure. And I said, it's GIDEL. And my mother burst into tears. Unbeknownst to me, that was my grandmother's Hebrew name.
Wow.
So I knew things were not as they seemed.
Mhm.
There was a lot more out there. And a friend of mine just many years ago, after being friends with me for 30 years and seeing the crazy things that happened to me, she just said, "You are a magnet for the weird."
You're a weird magnet.
Yeah.
The Ouija board is not, it's not to be taken light. It's not something to play with. But I remember clearly playing with it back then, and there's some scary shit.
Did messages that seemed very realistic come through?
Yeah, I can't recall what they were, but there was a time, there was probably, I would say, a 6-month span where we were using it quite a bit, actually, back then. And then it's just, no, you know what? This is a little too scary. I think I'm going to
stick with the magic 8 ball.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, I haven't thought about that for so long, the Ouija board.
That's probably worth a little Mercury retrograde time that we're in now. A little reflection and maybe some journaling around that.
Yeah.
Because everything that happened it's in your hard drive up here.
Yeah.
It's all there. It can be extracted.
Maybe I will do that. Some reflection. Yes. What excites, inspires you, and lights you up the most about the work that you do?
Everything. I mean, in 3rd grade, my science project was this meticulously rendered drawing of a painting of the solar system. I have just always loved the planets. It just keeps deepening to me. As we get older, not a lot gets better, but this capacity for learning and having a bigger framework to put things in, more connections, more ding, ding, things going off in the brain, the understanding of things. Watching astrology, not just work, because that's just cool, right? But seeing how we can use it and how I can be a factor in somebody else's journey and their evolution. It makes me so excited, I almost squeal. I'm not kidding.
I know the feeling. The feeling. It's powerful. It really is. Again, it's a gift. It's a total gift for us. To get that excited about what we do, it's just, there aren't even enough words to express fully and properly what it feels like.
And when we can bring that and transmit that to somebody else, and then they get that glow and that fire in their belly, and then it just spreads. This is how we bring the positive change. That's can't change. We can't dismantle the negative power structures, but we can offset it with a bigger collective glow.
Yeah, for sure.
And this is our job.
That's right. That is exactly it. That's our job, to spread that light, to spread that love, to spread that positivity throughout this world. That's what we're here to do. The
100%.
more people we get on board with doing that, the much bigger that bubble, or whatever you want to call it, of love and positivity gets, the much louder our voices get, the more people we bring into the collective and the community to do that, to share that message with the world.
Oh, for sure. And people shouldn't be pessimistic about it.
No.
It doesn't always happen to its full capacity instantly. But you don't stop. We lose every game that we don't show up for. We have to just keep doing this and influencing more people and helping them be positive, even in dark times. I mean, as the spiritual cliche goes, our light shines brighter in the darkness.
And there are a lot of people out there that need the light, that need the support. And that is our part of our job, part of our mission here, is to help those people and enlighten them.
Literally, that's good.
Yeah.
Enlighten them.
Yeah, for sure. To date, Suzanne, what would you say is your biggest high or your greatest win?
Just the culmination of everything. And there's so many specifics, but those are just like individual waves, I think. To me, it's the place that I've landed in through my efforts, through my luck, the amazing teachers, the amazing people that I've, quote unquote, flukily connected with. I don't really, Brad, in my career as a journalist, I met so many famous people and had some really big career highs, and been to probably 80 countries and had extraordinary experiences. And people don't know this about me because I don't lead with that. That's not what's important. It's who has that made me? What's the cumulative effect of these things? I don't need to walk around with a list of my accomplishments because if they don't mean something and if they don't ultimately, if I can't use it for other people, it's really, I just think of it as empty calories.
That's an interesting description of it. Empty calories. I like that.
Tastes good, right?
Yeah,
but
for sure.
So what?
Yeah, love it. What do you think your unique skill set or superpower is that's helped you become successful?
I think everybody is a unique skill set, right?
Yeah.
And I think for me, I think I got a lot of it from my father. My father lost his hearing in World War II. All he wanted to do was play tennis and be a sportscaster. He developed spinal meningitis. He went in a coma. He came out without his hearing, without his equilibrium, without his balance. He was kind of a puny guy to begin with. And he came out, and there were people that would have, I don't know, become alcoholics or given up on their life. My father went back out on that tennis court every day, and he would fall down. People would laugh at him. He didn't care. He got a job. He raised a family. He did what he wanted. He did his life. He played competitive bridge, even though he couldn't hear the bids. He taught. He coached softball. He coached kids. And he didn't tell me to do any of that. He just showed me, you got a passion? You got something you want? You better get out there and do it. Just do it. There's not even a reason. It's just because you can't, like you and I were saying before you hit record, because you can't not.
What incredible resolve, resilience, and inner strength of your father. That is phenomenal. Just phenomenal. That he just, no, nothing's going to hold me down. Nothing's going to stop me. I don't care. Okay, I can't hear. It's not stopping me. My equilibrium's fucked up. I don't care. It's not stopping me from doing what I want to do, what's going to bring me joy, what's going to bring me happiness. And what an incredible role model for you.
And here's the greatest thing, and I know you'll appreciate this, Brad, because you're like this. Before we really had the word feminism to throw around, my father was a feminist. The women bridge players that he admired, he didn't say she's a woman bridge player.
I love it.
He was friends with women in a time where that might have seemed like a little weird. My father wouldn't have cheated on my mother if you had handed him a wad of cash. He would tell my sister and me, you can be anything you want. Not you have to overcome it. It was just, no, he didn't focus on the obstacles. And this is the greatest coaching in the world. You don't focus on the obstacles. You focus on the goal.
Anything is possible. We all have that ability. But to be able to, as a father, to be able to model that for your daughters in doing it himself and being the example, but to also tell you as well as demonstrating by modeling it, I think that's that's what a good parent does, is tell their kids. And I think we need more of this in the world from parents to, with all of these things like confidence. And I mean, you hear even my daughters, the confidence piece is so huge. And this was something that we instilled in them from a young age. And I think all parents should do this, is let your kids know, like your father did for you and your sister, that you can do anything. It doesn't matter if you're a woman or a man or a boy or a girl.
Or anything in between.
Yeah, you could do anything you set your mind to. The possibilities are infinite. You could do whatever you want. You have the capability, but also to instill that confidence, which that does too. I think we need to do that from a very young age so that our children just grow up not knowing any different. It becomes part of who they are. It becomes part of their being. It becomes ingrained in their DNA.
Wouldn't that be something?
It would. It would.
Brad, growing up, and this is kind of a little funny, I used to say that I didn't realize I had any issues with my mother until my sister got into therapy. I thought I had great parents. But then when she got into therapy and she would tell me all these horrible things, I realized, they were horrible parents. And I could tick off all these things, and I still could to this day. Mm-hmm. But you know what? In the last 20 years, especially, of working so closely with people sharing such intimacy, truly disturbing stories. Yeah. I think the longer I do this practice, the happier my childhood becomes, because I realize, there were some thises and that's, but the most essential things, what you just highlighted so beautifully, instilling confidence, but not in a do as I say, not as I do, but in a showing us that, let's call him an underdog, somebody who, I hate the word handicap, but he had a handicap. He didn't think he had a handicap.
There you go.
He just did not acknowledge it. It helps to be a Sagittarius with Aries rising. He's a pretty fiery guy, and there's obviously always the positive and the negative of that.
Yeah.
And it's easy to see the negative. How about we see the positive?
Absolutely. And love, giving love, that is, I mean, love is the highest vibration on the planet. And if we give love and nurture that in our kids, not even just kids. I mean, because we're speaking about parental and kids and stuff, and because of all of the issues that I've seen with my daughters growing up, and I know, and I've heard many stories about other parents' kids growing up and dealing with, and I even see it now with women that I speak to, the confidence issue is abso-fucking-lutely huge.
Probably number one.
Yeah. But if we take it back and did these things, how different would things be for people? You know what I mean? It's pretty simple to prop someone up and cheerleader, especially your children. These are your kids. That's what you do. But not everyone, also, I have to say, not everyone's cut out to be a parent.
Exactly. And I was just going to say, we're talking about this as if these hypothetical parents that we're talking about are pretty healthy themselves and had decent parenting. What happens, Brad? We repeat the patterns that we grow up with. This is the unconscious thing, right? This is the 85% unconscious. And we don't even know what we're doing. Parents don't realize they're saying and doing the same things that happened to them and what happened. That's how their parents were. And people are very aware. My mother never had a dad, or she had an alcoholic father, whatever. And you go back one or two generations. I mean, life is still hard. But you go back a couple of generations, life is brutal.
Yes. 100%.
It was really rough. And these war conditions and poverty conditions and genocidal and you name it. And of course, alcoholism. And I'm all in favor of a nice glass of red wine with dinner. I don't think the substance is the problem. It's the abuse. And alcohol is so damaging. And it's just really, it's a scourge. And I don't think you ban alcohol, but I think we need education. I think we need and we need to have alternatives for people who are going in that direction. Why do people go toward it? Because they're in pain. Then there's something they don't want to be aware of. They don't want to feel.
Numb. They want to numb.
Yeah. And so we want to get in there as early as we can. We got to break these cycles.
We do.
And that's what the people that I work with are the ones who are saying, I will take responsibility. I will be the one who heals, who breaks these chains. And the understanding is when we stop this pattern, this downward cascade of abuse, we actually heal not just ourselves, we heal all of them backward and also our downline, our children, or even if we don't have children, the people we influence in our lives. Also
the generations. I've heard something about, I think it's 7 generations forward that you heal when you do your healing. That can also heal 7 generations forward or something along those lines. I could be completely off with the numbers, but
yeah, I mean, this is something that's a little hard to prove. Right?
Yes, just a wee bit.
But that comes from a Native American idea of whenever you make a decision about the earth to do something, you have to consider what will the effect be 7 generations hence.
Yes.
And the thing is, 7 generations, things should take root by then in our healing work. The pattern should have changed. So this is something we know. When we heal, our energy shifts. And when our energy shifts, everybody shifts around us. Some people fall out. We can't connect with them anymore because the energies are incompatible. But other people, they get like an upgrade.
Yep, for sure. Absolutely. How do you define success? What does that word mean to you?
I have my own benchmarks. But when I work with other people, it's what are your goals? What comes along with that? How will you know when you get there? And when you get there, that's success.
What would you say is one of the most important things you've learned in your life? And what was your life like before you learned it? And what was your life like after learning it?
Brad, I've learned so many important things. I think I was kind of an idiot.
Complete transparency here.
We think it's about that like poster, bumper sticker, meme, whatever, whoever dies with the most toys wins. I believed that. I really did. And there's another great one, a great quote from the wonderful poet, Rumi, Sufi poet that so many people know. And he just said, when I was young, I was so clever, I thought I would change the world. And now that I'm old, I realize I can only change myself. And it's got to be that.
Yeah, we have to start here. It all starts at home with us.
Yeah. It's our frequency. It's our vibration. And if it's distorted or incoherent or low, because we all do have some kind of wound from past lives that we've brought in to work on in this life. We've had parents, and even good parents, even the best parents will inadvertently cause something. But that's not a mistake. We need this. This is how we grow. We need those boundaries. We need these things to help us realize, I don't like this. I'm not happy here. Esther Hicks, who channels the entity Abraham, talks about the contrast. It's through the contrast, this I don't like this, that you start to gain clarity about what it is that you really do want. So,
love it.
Kind of a vague.
It's all good. What does the word empowerment mean to you?
So people old enough to remember that great 70s book and movie, Love Story. And his definition of love, I would say, is my definition of empowerment. It means never having to say you're sorry. Because everything you do, you're in alignment with.
Okay, we're going to jump into a little rapid fire section here. So the next grouping of questions just be 1, 2, 3, 4-word answer type thing, okay?
Okay.
You got this. How would you describe yourself in one word?
Full of integritas.
Oh, you could use a few words.
Living in my integrity.
What is one thing you love about yourself that is not related to your physical appearance?
It wouldn't be my physical appearance anyway. My imagination.
If you came with a warning label, what would yours say?
I tell the truth.
If you could teach the world one thing, what would it be?
Love.
What's one thing you want but cannot buy with money?
Trust.
If you were writing your autobiography, what would the title be?
Working title.
If you could set up a billboard anywhere, where would you put it and what would it say?
It would have to be on an internet browser, and it would be a redirect to my website.
That concludes our rapid fire section. Now back to our regularly scheduled program. I threw in a bonus question that I did not send you. You didn't see this one. If you could take one feeling or one belief and bottle it up and give it to people, what would it be?
Excitement.
If you could step into my shoes, what question would you have asked yourself that I didn't ask you?
You did pretty good.
All right. I received that. Thank you. What is your why?
Because there is an intention for humanity to wake up to the reality behind this reality. And those of us that have caught a glimpse have to let other people know.
I love that. If you had the opportunity to sit down and have a 1-hour conversation with one woman, any woman in the world, who would it be and why?
Oh my goodness, I didn't see that. One woman, Ivanka Trump.
Why?
Because maybe she could get through to him.
Okay, fair enough. If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that piece of advice be?
Oh, just do it anyway.
Lastly, if you were to deliver your last 30-second speech to the world, your tribe, your people, your corner of the world, what would that last 30 seconds sound like? What words of wisdom would you impart?
It would have to do with just taking a risk, being brave and saying, everything negative that I believe, I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to put it in a little bowl. I'm going to put it over there. I can come back to it. All the doubts and negativity and mistakes and all the ways I want to beat myself up. I can come back to that at any time, but I'm going to just put it all in there now. And then I'm just going to live my life otherwise. And then at the end of a certain period of time, you get to go back and inspect the whatever's in there and decide if you want it again or not.
Beautiful. Profound. I love it. Suzanne, thank you so very much for this incredibly beautiful, inspiring, fun, and thoughtful conversation. It has been an absolute pleasure having the opportunity to sit down and speak with you and share in your story and your journey and the beautiful light that you put out into the world through the work you're doing. I appreciate you, and I'm so grateful to know you, to call you a friend, and to have you as a member of the Empowerography community.
All those exact words right back to you, Brad. Thank you. And to be continued with the deeper dive into your chart.
Yes, absolutely. Once again, my name is Brad Walsh, host of your Empowerography podcast. Today, my guest has been Suzanne Gerber. She is a classically trained modern astrological counselor and teacher who's also trained in shamanism, Reiki, Buddhism, quantum physics, plant medicine, soul-centered psychotherapy, and a life coach. Thank you so much, Suzanne. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too, Brad. Take care. And bye, everybody.
Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. If you haven't yet, please be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share with all your friends. You can find me at visuphoria.ca and follow me on Instagram at Empowerography Podcast and on Facebook at Empowerography. Please join me next time for another inspirational story from yet another amazing woman.